Before any skyscraper scrapes the clouds, before any foundation is ever poured, the ground itself has to be perfect. This is where it all begins, and getting this part right, it's totally non-negotiable. So today, we're going to decode this super critical first step of any construction project. Let's break down what really separates a solid start from, well, a potential disaster. And that quote really says it all, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of the matter. I mean, the stakes are just incredibly high, right from day one. Choosing the right team to prep your site isn't some small detail. It's a decision that can literally set the pace, the budget, and the ultimate success of everything that comes after. And that's the big question, right? How can you tell if you're setting your project up for a smooth ride or a whole series of headaches and setbacks? Well, that is exactly what we're here to figure out. We're going to dive into the key elements that define a truly top-tier excavation partner. So here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll look at it in 4 parts. First step, the blueprint before the dig. Then we'll talk about precision in the dirt. After that, we'll cover what a real culture of safety looks like. And finally, we'll pull it all together to see how these create the foundation for success.
Okay, let's jump into our first pillar, the plan. And you know what's kind of funny about excavation? The most important work actually happens before a single piece of heavy machinery even starts up. It is all about the blueprint you have before the dig begins.
Yeah, this is way more than just a casual stroll around the property. A professional team does a super rigorous site assessment. Think of them like detectives, hunting for hidden risks like underground pipes and cables. They map out everything, how water is going to drain, how stable the soil is. It's all this careful, upfront work that prevents those nightmare surprises, like, hitting a gas line or having a foundation flood that can just obliterate your budget and schedule. Okay, so that brings us to our second pillar, the process. Once that plan is locked in, it's go time. This is where skill, experience, and having the right tools for the job all come together. This is all about, you guessed it, precision in the dirt. And we're talking about a whole range of super specialized jobs here. A pro team has the muscle for huge earth-moving projects, but also the delicate touch needed for, say, trenching for utilities in a cramped city space. They're also prepping sites for demolition and can even handle removing solid bedrock if they have to. Being able to do all of this, that's a huge sign of real expertise. Now let's zoom in on one of these for a second, site grading. You might think this is just about making the ground look flat, right? Nope, it's an absolute science. This is the perfect example of how one specific action affects the health of the building for years to come. Proper grading makes sure water flows away from the foundation, preventing massive problems down the road. So precision here pays off for the entire life of the building. It's a huge deal. All right, on to our third and final pillar, and this one is a biggie, the protocol. This is all about building a real, deeply ingrained culture of safety. And we're not just talking about meeting the minimum requirements here. We're talking about a core value that protects people, property, and keeps the project moving forward. I just love this line because it really nails the difference between a team that has safety rules and a team that lives by them. See, when safety is just baked into every single thing they do, it just changes the whole vibe of the job site. It becomes second nature. So what does that actually look like day to day? Well, first, it means sticking to a strict set of protocols, no cutting corners. It also means starting every single day with toolbox talks to make sure the whole crew is on the same page. It's about investing in modern equipment with all the latest safety gadgets. And finally, it's about being on top of your permits and paperwork. And for you, the client, the payoff is huge. We're talking smoother inspections and way, way fewer of those maddening holdups. In construction, safety really is efficiency. Okay, so we've got our 3 pillars, the plan, the process, and the protocol. So let's tie this all together. What's the real payoff here? What does all this mean for your project at the end of the day? And wow, when you put them side by side, the difference is just night and day. A rushed, sloppy approach is pretty much a guarantee for delays, safety issues, and costs that just spiral out of control. But the pillar-based approach, it delivers the complete opposite, a site that's ready to go, clear timelines, and a process that's smooth from start to finish. It's the difference between crossing your fingers and actually planning for success. So, when you boil it all down, what are you really looking for in a top-notch partner? Well, they're adaptable. They can handle a tight city lot just as well as a huge rural property. They're totally transparent with their pricing and they communicate clearly. And, this is important, they're invested in the future, using things like low-emission equipment. They are, simply put, true pros. And all of this really leaves us with one last big question to think about.
As you gear up for your next project, really think about the ground it's going to stand on. Because the success of every single thing you build on top of it comes down to the answer. Is the foundation of your project built on solid planning? Or is it just built on chance?